Hey folks, well, Donald Trump certainly has been doing his best to bring global attention and focus to the situation in South Africa right now, hasn't he?
The pressure campaign on South Africa is full and unrelenting, with the executive order charging that the Expropriation Act signed into law by President Cyril Ramaphosa was a shocking disregard for its citizens' rights by enabling the government to seize ethnic minority Afrikaners' agricultural property without compensation. It further alleged government actions fueling disproportionate violence against racially disfavored landowners. It further accuses South Africa of taking aggressive positions towards the United States and its allies, including by accusing Israel, not Hamas, of genocide at the International Court of Justice, while reinvigorating its relations with Iran to develop commercial and military and nuclear arrangements. The order states that it will be the policy of the United States that as long as South Africa continues these unjust and immoral practices that harm the United States, Washington would no longer provide aid or assistance to South Africa, and that the United States shall promote the resettlement of Afrikaner refugees escaping government-sponsored race-based discrimination, including racially discriminatory confiscation. The order instructs the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security to prioritize humanitarian relief, including admission and resettlement of Afrikaners in South Africa who are victims of unjust racial discrimination. Trump ordered all executive departments and agencies to halt foreign aid or assistance delivered or provided to South Africa, but does provide a carve-out, saying that heads of agencies may provide discretionary aid if deemed necessary and appropriate. Earlier this week, the US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said he would not be attending the G20 foreign ministers meeting in South Africa later this month, accusing the country of doing bad things, and attacked the G20 theme of solidarity, equity, and sustainability, a position that the South African-born presidential advisor Elon Musk has endorsed. President Cyril Ramaphosa on Thursday told Parliament that the nation would speak with one voice in defense of its national interests, and that the country would not be bullied, as the relationship now between South Africa and Washington reaches a new low. Shervin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.
So I'm popping on here to make this video to explain to you why, even though in light of the fact that Donald Trump has just officially signed an executive order to cancel US foreign aid to South Africa, as well as to facilitate refugee status for Afrikaners to move over there, why I still most likely will not be able to leave South Africa. Firstly, I need to explain the fact that refugee status is a very complicated thing to achieve. In order to meet it, and this is across the global spectrum, you have to be able to satisfy a very specific set of criteria in order to get refugee status in the United States. I can't simply apply and say, well, I'm a white South African, so let me in. That's not enough. In order to be considered a true refugee, I have to be able to demonstrate with evidence the fact that my life is under immediate threat or that I am about to be killed. And quite frankly, I don't have the kind of evidence that would satisfy immigration services in that regard. Yes, South Africa is a dangerous country. Yes, I have personally survived situations in which I could very easily have been murdered. But all of that stuff is too vague to go to an immigration board with. It's not enough. It's not going to meet the objective standard that they set in order to consider someone like me a refugee. Another aspect of this that I don't think a lot of people really understand, because I know that many of you who care about me would really like me to just be able to leave South Africa and to re-establish in the States. Believe me, I would really like that myself. If I believed it were possible, I would leave South Africa and never look back. However, you need to bear in mind that I am severely physically disabled. I don't have freedom of movement. In order just to live normally, I require a lot of physical help, which means that if I were to relocate to the United States, somebody who cared a lot about me would have to take responsibility for my life, and that would fundamentally change their own life and the way in which they would be able to live. And frankly, I don't think that's a fair burden to place on anyone, no matter how good of a friend they are. It's too much to ask. The other, or I guess I should say, the third aspect of this is the practicalities of the situation. If I were to move to the United States, what would I do for a living? Now, my formal qualifications, what I'm actually trained to do, is to be a journalist and a copywriter. America does not need journalists from South Africa. You have plenty of those already. And I can't reskill because I'm not physically capable of learning a trade or something practically useful, simply because my cerebral palsy is so severe that I can't do most things. So I'm making this video because as soon as Trump announced this executive order with regard to the cancellation of aid to South Africa and refugee status for Afrikaners, people were already beginning to ask, can you get over here now? Is this your window of opportunity? Do you have a chance to get to the States now? And sadly, the answer is no. One particularly technical thing I suppose I should explain is that if Trump is limiting the application of refugee status to South Africans who specifically qualify as Afrikaners, then I don't fit that bill. Because although one side of my family is Afrikaans, and I have several Afrikaans family members, I am not predominantly Afrikaans. My native tongue is English, and although I am fluent in Afrikaans and can understand it and speak it fine, I don't do so on a daily basis or even a weekly basis. I haven't regularly spoken the language in several years, maybe not since I completed high school, because I don't live in an Afrikaans community. My Afrikaans relatives live in a completely different part of South Africa. So I cannot rightfully claim to be an Afrikaner. As with many South Africans like me, I'm a white person of mixed heritage. There's a whole bunch of different white ethnic groups in my cultural background. So I cannot expect to be taken seriously if I were to apply for refugee status as an Afrikaner. Nor am I a farmer in any sense of the word. I live in an urban neighborhood, and I have lived in urban neighborhoods like the one I'm currently in my entire life. I have relatives who are farmers elsewhere in the province of KwaZulu-Natal where I live, but I am not a farmer, so I can't claim it on that ground either. I hope that although this video won't be what a lot of you want to hear, that it does explain why I'm in the position I'm in. The fact is, I was simply born into a set of very unfortunate circumstances, and although the emotional side of me really does wish that I had more freedom and more opportunities in life, I simply don't. And I need to accept that and make the best of what I've got. I know that things look really dire here in South Africa, and I believe that they are. But barring some sort of miracle or the endowment of a very wealthy American with the resources to fully support my relocation, it's just highly unlikely that I will ever be able to leave this country. Anyway, that's about all I've got to say. Look after yourselves, take care of each other, and for now, farewell.